Each one of us in this room will agree we are where we are, and in our country, especially in our country, we have to change our status quo. The only way our economic background or हमारा कुछ भी हम change कर सकते हैं, that's education.
One thing we did wrong in COVID, which I also admit to my team, I think this is not a business that should have been blitzkilled. It is not easy. I did not know it's going to be this tough when we started. Flipkart and Amazon have never made a single profit. Because if this is something you are doing just to try, कि ये भी करके देख लेते हैं, then you are going to fail. If your heart is not fully in it, I don't think you should be based out of Mumbai or Delhi. I think you should be based out of Bangalore. In fact, the goal of Tech Sparks Mumbai and Delhi should be to convert people to go to Bangalore.
I have no preparation, nothing. Anyways, for none of the conversation, there is a preparation. But for this, there is none. Because I want to give a disclaimer. I have known Gaurav Munjal for last 10 years. More than 10
years, 2014.
2014. And we both have a photo of each other also at Tech Sparks when he was a baby and I was much younger and we were thinner and much fitter. And so I know him very well. And I have
In fact, the first product that I ever built was launched on the product showcase segment.
Yeah.
And today we have a team, next level team, which pitched a product. So it's like life coming full circle for us.
Yes, and in such a short time. And, listen, I am extremely proud of Gaurav because he is very different. He's very young and he's gone on to build something. We've had so many conversations around EdTech, but he's gone on to build a fantastic product-led business, which is Uncademy. And especially today, Gaurav, now we are going to start the conversation. And especially today, when EdTech is under the line of fire and we've all been listening and following and hearing about what's happening in Byju's, EdTech ka 21 mein अच्छे दिन थे, अभी tough दिन है. What do you have to say? Because to me, you are I wouldn't say last man standing, but you are definitely the face of EdTech right now in the country.
I think it's very interesting, the journey that EdTech went through. For example, in 2021, we saw a scale that our online business went from $30 million to $100 million in 12 months because there was a lot of focus towards online. Everyone wanted to study online and nobody was going offline because that was not available. But and then when the COVID wave ended, offline became a core part of our business. But historically, if you see, whether it's Akash or Alan, the offline coaching centers, 95% of EdTech or education companies traditionally are huge profit companies.
Yeah.
So there is no reason why EdTech shouldn't be profitable. I mean, at one point, we were burning $200 million a year.
We means who all?
Uncademy. Just Uncademy was burning $200 million per year, which has now come down to around $30 million. And the revenue is still growing. So I think let us not let a few bad apples spoil the market. People will crib about some competitors and the stuff they did. We all knew that they were mis-selling. But I think I'm very bullish on the segment. And I think this whole online and offline play, and that is something that got played out in Lenskart or some other companies or Nykaa. I think that will be very interesting. 40% of our revenues are coming from this hybrid model where the customer is acquired on the app and and the customer goes to offline and studies something online. So I think the future is online and online plus offline, which is hybrid. And I'm extremely bullish on the segment because this segment has huge profit pools. This segment has ability to change and impact lives.
Yeah.
For example, I was sitting with a friend, Puneet from SteadView yesterday, and he's our investor, and he told me that he grew up in a town which is 40 kilometers from Bikaner, and he studied in a Hindi medium school, and IT changed his life. So I think what we are doing is a utility. The product that we offer is life-changing. And these competitive examinations are a way for people to change their socio-economic status. So we have to just execute it right. One thing we did wrong in COVID, which I also admit to my team, I think this is not a business that should have been blitzscaled.
It should not have been?
Blitzscaled. This is a business that should have been built with immense focus on profitability year on year. And that's how we are doing it now.
You're so right, and each one of us in this room will agree. We are where we are, and in our country, especially in our country, we have to change our status quo. The only way our economic background or हमारा कुछ भी हम change कर सकते हैं, that's education. So you are also in a category which has a lot of responsibility. I want to ask you a lot of questions, but one, Gaurav, which I still think, and I had asked this question to Ronnie also today in the morning, that with EdTech plays, with the hybrid models that we have had, still quality education and access to quality is not available to many people in this country. How are you thinking about that?
I mean, if you are asking this question, then you haven't opened our app. I mean, we have a lot of, in fact, what I would say is that Uncademy and YouTube, today, businesses are built because these teachers are teaching on YouTube, they're teaching on Uncademy. We have a product called Graphy on which they're selling their courses. I think after what Jio did to internet, I think that has changed a lot. A lot of people are learning from YouTube. But as you said, there is a lot of responsibility for us. And the responsibility comes in two places. How the product is built and how the product is sold. You have to build the product right, keeping in mind that the educators are properly trained, because the learner won't be able to tell if you're teaching it wrong, because sometimes this is a 7th standard learner or an 8th standard learner. And second, how we are selling the product is specifically more important, and this is the tough thing to do. And from day one, we have made sure that, you might have heard mis-selling cases about other competitors, but you might not have heard about a mis-selling case from Uncademy. And whenever 1 or 2% of times when something wrong happens by the sales team, we take strong action, strong refunds are there, etc. And that's why Ronnie and everyone else, including Uncademy, are trying to form this committee and create some guidelines that we abide by.
I've had the vantage point of knowing you very personally. You also you've been an entrepreneur before Uncademy, and you created a very fantastic product, Flat Chat, which you sold to Common Flow. Uncademy, somewhere you got the attention very early on. Also, you raised a lot of capital. You built a fantastic product. And in COVID, you were also one of the beneficiaries when the market went up. But again, when the market went down, you also went through a lot of learnings, and you also have made a lot of journey. Gaurav, if you can bear it and tell us, because we love to hear from you.
So I had never smoked in the first 30 years of my life. I picked up smoking 3 years back. That was the...
Smoking?
Yeah. So I'm telling you that the tough phases that the entrepreneurs go through, the highs are extremely high, and the lows are extremely low. It is not easy. I did not know it's going to be this tough when we started. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. It teaches you a lot. And if you can do this, then you start thinking that you can do anything. So, the journey has, and every entrepreneur, most of you must have raised some form of capital, whether it's angel investment, etc. The first 4 or 5 years when you're building the product, when you're raising capital, those are the good years. And then once you focus on profitability, etc. For example, this is my 9th year. And I think we still have a long way to go, because we have to pull off a great IPO. We want to do the best IPO that this country has seen in the edtech sector or the education sector. And there are days where I sleep like a baby, and there are days where I have to take a pill to sleep because the stress is so much. And that's why I can say it for a fact that if there are 100 people in the audience who want to become entrepreneurs, 95 will give up. They won't come for your event next year because they will give up because it's so tough. And sometimes the trick is easy. If you really want to make it big, just don't give up.
कि बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है कि इतने ऑनेस्टली और दिल से बात कर रहे हो, क्योंकि हम पूरे दिन बुलशिट सुनते, मतलब आज तो हम बहुत अच्छा मतलब कॉन्वर्सेशन, बट समवेयर टुडे वी हैड वेरी गुड कॉन्वर्सेशन. बट द थिंग इज, मतलब ये है सच ना, मतलब सच तो ये है कि लाइट कैमरा बुझ जाती है तो क्या होता है. एंड थैंक यू गौरव. आई थिंक वी एज अ कंट्री नीड टू सेलिब्रेट and appreciate entrepreneurs like you for talking so honestly and candidly. Brings me to the question that, again, I'm just talking from a category because category has also come under attack. You had said that e-commerce, we saw Flipkart and we've seen, we have Amazon, that they created the largest of businesses when it came to internet. And you said that edtech, education, would be the biggest in the next coming years. Do you still believe that, or do you think that the playbook has changed?
Flipkart and Amazon have never made a single profit, and they have been around for a lot of years. I still think that edtech is a very, very deep category, whether it's test prep or it's higher ed or it's K-12. And I'm still bullish. I just think that there was a phase when e-commerce was going through a bad phase where every day you wake up, you read the news that some down round has happened for Flipkart or some private equity has given them a lower valuation. I think we are going through that phase. But there are some really good companies being built, whether it's Upgrad or PhysicsWala or Alan and Akash offline. Not Akash so much, but Alan, and then what Uncademy is doing. So I think this sector, the moment one of us goes public, and then people realize how much profit pools are there in education, I think people will start again talking about edtech. So, I mean...
you have to be the front runner now in this space.
Yeah, but I don't want to commit anything because I don't want to read after 2 years that he said this in front of Shradha, but the IPO has still not happened.
No. We are not going to hold you. We believe in the ambition and the drive that you have, and
You are not going to hold me, but there are other publications that will use this.
You also had sent some young entrepreneurs to this young entrepreneur to meet to give angel investment. You remember just a month back, I had sent 2 boys to meet you, and I said, oh, they're very good. And then Gaurav gives them such candid feedback, which is like, I said, oh, they're doing so well, so good, and this and that. And he said, oh, you're not going to become big to these entrepreneurs. But what I liked is the candidness with which you gave the feedback, and those guys went back to work on it. You have very strong views on who makes for a good entrepreneur and which are the businesses that go on to be big. Tell us.
No, I'll take this example without naming them.
Yeah. Don't name them, please.
Yeah. They were working out of like a city very, very far from Bangalore, not a metro city. And the first question I asked them, that you can afford to live in Bangalore. Why are you not living in Bangalore? They had no answer. They are like, we want to do good to the city we grew up in. I mean, we are all patriotic, but anyway, the odds of making it big are so low. Can you stop optimizing for your city right now? First become big and then, do something. Open a school, create a college, give talks. Like, I think there are Harshal is from Rajasthan. There are a lot of entrepreneurs from Rajasthan or from, Chandigarh, we have Dipinder Goyal and Sachin Bansal. And I think those cities have taken pride in the fact that those entrepreneurs are from those cities. But you don't optimize for that on day one. So what I hate is, and when I meet people who come for angel investment also, I try to push them to a point where, are they really interested in this? Or is this something they are doing because this is just another thing? Because if this is something you are doing just to try, ye bhi karke dekh lete hain, then you are going to fail. If your heart is not fully in it, I don't think you should be based out of Mumbai or Delhi. I think you should be based out of Bangalore. Come to Bangalore, increase your odds. I don't think you should be optimizing for anything other than your product market fit in the beginning. I don't think that you should optimize for your friends and family. You will have to sacrifice a lot of things, and a lot of people don't. So you have to go all the way in and only then you will win.
Gaurav, शांत हो जाओ थोड़ा. अच्छा, tell me, you started Flat Chat out of Mumbai first, right? Or no, you were in Mumbai. You moved to Bangalore. This is still a question. And then the whole thing of doing tech sparks and bringing tech sparks to Mumbai is to get the startup ecosystem to create more, drive for the startup ecosystem. Why do you still believe that Bangalore is the only place to do a startup?
See, I will put it on record. My college was in Mumbai. I think Mumbai is a better city than Bangalore. If I have to spend a weekend, I'll choose Mumbai. But if you're starting up, Bangalore is slower paced than Mumbai, and you know it. We have had discussions on this. Bangalore is slower city than Mumbai. But the odds of your success increase a lot. In fact, the goal of TechSparks Mumbai and Delhi should be to convert people to go to Bangalore.
Yeah, we are all in Bangalore. Come to Bangalore.
But if you are starting up, your goal should be, how do I increase the probability of success in every move I do? And the ecosystem in Bangalore is next level. I mean, I have not gone to a coffee shop and not met an entrepreneur who's trying to do something big. The energy is very different. There is a reason that San Francisco as a city is so messed up. But that's where still the innovation is happening. You can't beat these network effects. It's not going to happen. How much ever you build your team and those Mumbai initiatives these guys do, it's not going to happen.
Nah, देखो, मतलब smoke करके आए हो only Gaurav. That listen. But anyway, this is like I'm loving, just so you continue. Like I'm just thinking of what will you answer and what should I ask? Okay, let's get to investors. You've had some very good investors and you've raised capital. Investors have also come under attack when it comes to the whole Baiju. And I'm just giving that as an example. But there's this whole issue of how effective and how much, and we have lawyers sitting over here. What role do investors play when large capital is put into the companies?
I would say it's not like, काफी time blame investors ko jata hai that these guys did not say it to the founder, etc. And I have spoken to some of those investors, and those guys have been telling their founders for 2 to 3 years sometimes that don't do this. Sometimes founders don't listen, and the only option is to fire the founder. But then there is this conundrum that at what point do you pull the trigger? Because they are also accountable to their LPs. So they also have to at some point say that, hey, this is messed up. So they are in that conundrum that when do they? I mean, I have had very deep discussions on these topics from most investors, and I honestly believe the investors are not at fault. I believe it's the founders. See, as founders, you are given a lot of capital, which otherwise you would not have access to if these investors were not there. And sometimes people get greedy. Sometimes people have this God complex that they can do anything and they are the kings or queens of the world and they can acquire everyone and everything. And they stop listening to people. I have been fortunate to have 2 or 3 people in my life, with whether it's Dipinder of Zomato or Bhavesh of Ola or Bhavin Turakhia, who would tell me to shut up and say this is wrong. So, and most founders at later stage stop having this advisory circle and they stop listening to the investors who invested in them. I have a very strong view on this, that it's always the founder who is at fault. And investors keep advising them. That does not come out. For example, I will not name some of the founder exits of the startups, but I know for a fact that whoever the board member was, that board member was speaking to the founder for 1.5 years. That, can you please fix this? Because firing a founder is not easy. There will be a lot of mess that happens, like you are seeing. And sometimes people try that, can we avoid this mess? Is that person coachable? So it's always the founder who does the blunder. There are always people advising, there are always board members advising that this is wrong. People just get God complex and they stop listening.
No, I agree completely to you. And I also know that you as a founder, how hard decisions you have taken and you've stood, and it has not been easy and you've stood to it. with it. But sometimes you have to also be in a position of power, like in a position of influence. कभी-कभी founders early stage में नहीं होते हैं और investors हावी हो सकते हैं.
तो 4 YouTube वीडियो देख लो. Every advice, in the first initial 12 months of building the company, I did not have access to these founders.
Yeah.
But there is a 2-hour Sam Altman video on how to handle investors. There is a 1-hour video on Paul Graham where he says that don't get God complex. It's just that people don't want to learn. They think that they have, they know everything. And you have to go with that humility of stay hungry, stay foolish, that, maybe this is something I don't know. And this is a problem that we see in US founders, that we see in India founders, which we might not see sometimes in China or Japan founders, where this narcissism and this God complex gets so big sometimes, where you just feel that you are right all the time.
Yeah. No. I hear what you're saying. Now that brings me to the question, and I want you to talk about this, is that since I've known you, I've seen that there is an over-indexing that you do on learning, self-learning. In fact, तुम teacher भी हो. But I remember you got me to buy that iPad sort of a thing to create the, what is it called? Something I ordered from Amazon.
That was long back.
Yeah, long back. But there is this whole, there is always been, since I've known you, that investment that you make on yourself to learn on your own. Tell me and tell all of us, how has that helped you in your journey? And दूसरी बात, एक दूसरा question भी साथ ही दे देना, because I've never seen you very, like you like success for the, and success and impact and building products, but money is something that was never a driving factor in terms of building a large business. And how has that also played a role in you staying true to the course?
The biggest problem that I see with founders today is that, and especially in a city like Mumbai, this is even bigger. We all over-index on action. हमें लगता है कि हमें problem solve करनी है तो अगले दिन office जाके solve करते हैं. People don't spend a lot of time thinking or reading. Let's be very honest. India tech founders are not innovating. They're copying everything from US. There is zero innovation. You can't tell me one single technology that we made. We didn't make jack
What a guest, yeah. So
we didn't make anything. So the mistakes that you are going to make has already been made by somebody else in some other part of the country or the world. Read about that. Bill Gates at one point used to take these, I was reading this book called Hard Drive. It's a biography of Bill Gates. He used to take a 2-week-long vacation to read books and to learn. And Sam Altman or any founder that we respect spends a lot of time learning. Our issue is we relate busyness with action.
Yeah.
So, there are some days when I wake up and I have a thought in my head and I would not go to office until 3 or 4 p.m. because I'm just thinking about it, reading about it. And, only when it's clear, I get into the execution mode. There are so many powerful videos and so many powerful books that people can read, but they just don't because the attention span is not there. You'll first have to delete your Instagram app. You'll first have to delete your YouTube app. Then you will have to focus and get the attention span back. But this is also a good thing. In today's world, if you can just read one book a month, I think you'll be better off than 95% founders because everybody has stopped reading. I mean, it's sad to say that this can be a personal moat, but if you are just reading one book a month, which will take you 20 minutes a day, you can be better off than 95% of the founders.
On the money front?
I
somehow feel that, hear me. I somehow feel that you were always very curious, driven to build products. And of course, सबको को चाहिए roti, kapda, makan and fancy car and success and everything else. But somewhere that has been, you over-indexed on that always. And that has kept you going. Now tell me, and the rewards have come. You have one of the largest businesses, digital businesses in the country. You have the money, you have all the successes. But somewhere that was never the driving factor.
I have been very fortunate in one thing in my life. At the age of 12, I was a coder. I knew what I want to do. When I was in college, I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to work to send money to the family. So I could take more risks than most people. So I have been privileged in that sense um, um, to take a lot more risks than other people. Um, and it's just I love what I do. If people told me you can't build companies tomorrow, I didn't know what I would do. I would have a existential crisis. I mean, even when I'm on a vacation, on the third day, I probably need my setup. So there is a proper setup done in the room and I need to work 8 hours a day. I can't do a vacation for more than 2 days. And
I'm surprised you can do 2 days.
yeah, 2 days now are needed after the 2 years we have seen. So what money does is, money is, and this is something I learned from Bhavin Turakia, who built DirectTime, Media.net, and Zeta. Money just makes you 100x more productive. I mean, if you can hire an assistant to do 10 tasks that you would have to do, I mean that, like, those things get unlocked. Let's say there is a business analyst who will directly work with you, or who will give you 10 insights and you just have to act on them. So I think money does unlock a lot of things, but most people don't use money that way because they want to rather spend money on status than spending on a better mattress, because you can't show off a better mattress. So most people optimize on how it would make them look versus how happy and peaceful it would make them. So I think money that way has been a great enabler for mental peace and productivity. And after a point, money starts becoming a score. So it's like competitive sports. We do want to create the largest market cap company. I mean, that's a huge driver. I mean, when I see other companies getting higher valuation than me, I do spend hours reading about what the fuck did they do better than us. And I want to beat them. So that way it's a score. It's like a public score. Like, how would you see a cricket score? And, I don't know of any founder who's not obsessed about these scores. So that, and that drives us to build better products and do better marketing.
The last one question I have for you is that one very different thing that I saw in Uncademy and the way you have grown and scaled it. Of course, one conversation we could have is how you got your co-founder, and I know how you got someone who was an IAS to how you went after him and got him, and that's a separate conversation. But you've done it very differently, which I don't think even large traditional businesses in India do enough, which we see in US but not in India. As a young company, you went and acquired companies, you went and invested in a lot of startups, and you grew Uncademy in a very different rather than a conventional manner. And take us through that, take us through the decision making and where has it got Uncademy today?
So one thing we are very fortunate is that we did not acquire companies for revenue. We acquired companies for talent. We acquired companies for a particular capability that we didn't have. For example, we have a company called PrepLadder, which is doing 150 crores of revenue, profitable company, second largest in their segment, NEET PG. We did not have that capability. The founders are missionary founders who want to do something good. Apart from that big acquisition, any other company that we have acquired is for the team. And, sometimes what happens is, and this is something that all companies should do in AI, and they are not doing, any large company should acquire AI startups, because the amount of learning you can do from a small team, and you let that team run on its own. Fortunately, when Common Floor acquired FlatChat, one thing that I told my lawyers to get in writing was, I will not move to Common Floor office. We will have a separate office space and we'll be completely independent. And that helped FlatChat still do well after the acquisition. So this is what we do. When we acquire a company, we just let them be. Maybe one meeting every week and let them grow. There is a book called Loon Shots. Loon Shots talks about how companies can make bold bets and do much, much, much bigger. But that's how Manhattan Project was done. In the Oppenheimer movie also, you take a team, you give them the budget. That's how crazy stuff happens. So we believe that, let's say we want to crack something in a particular space, you acquire a team of 3 to 4 great people, You give them the funds and let them do 0 to 1. They won't anyway stick around with you for more than 2 years. They will leave the day their lock-in expires. This is what happens all the time. If anybody tells you anything else, please don't believe them. They all leave the moment the lock-in expires. But they'll be with you for 2 years. And if you're playing your cards right, those 2 years are enough. Because if they crack 0 to 1, then you can get management to scale the startup. So I think to do R&D, and Apple has done that, Google has done that, to do R&D, to do new projects, to have separate teams, you need that founder DNA, which might not happen with professional management.
Gaurav Munjal, I have to say that please continue to be like this, real, authentic, no bullshit. Matlab slangs bhi use karke. But I'm so proud of you. As an Indian entrepreneur, as a young entrepreneur, genuinely I feel very good about you. Now tell me, what are you doing to, now you told that you got into smoking and stress is very high. Everyone is going through stress. And Nitin Kamat's thing that with the fitness and everything, it was very sad to see that he had to go, he had stroke. Very, very tough. And we have to have this conversation. I want to understand what are some of the things that you do to keep yourself.
I'm not a good authority on this topic for 2-3 reasons. I'm fairly obsessed. If I get into zone, I reach my home at 3 a.m. Somehow I have not been able to crack work-life balance. This is something I need to do better. But I think the only thing that works sometimes is that, again, the capital thing, you use that money to get better teams, better help, but don't let yourself burn out. Burnouts don't happen because you work too much. Burnouts happen when you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. If you're seeing that, then instead of going to office and slogging 16 hours, go take a walk on the beach, take a break, think about the next strategic move you are going to make. So one thing I do fairly well is that on most days I can handle the stress. But building has been like a really tough. If there is one thing I would go and fix is like 10 years ago, when we were doing those 3 a.m. late nights, etc., I would just bring some sort of focus on health and fitness because it's very difficult to reverse it. Once you screw the body, it takes a lot more effort to reverse it rather than, being mindful about it while you are building in the early stage. But I'm an OCD founder. If I get into the zone and if I want to do something, then it's very difficult for me to cut off and balance other things. Like sometimes I forget to call my parents for weeks. I'm not a good work-life balance.
No, I knew that. But I was just asking, what are you doing? One thing that you're doing in terms of taking care of yourself.
So one thing I have now started doing, and hopefully it shows result, is that you pick any sport or you pick any sort of workout which you love. For example, if I end up playing tennis twice a week, I don't feel like missing it because it's fun. And the other thing you do is that delete some of the food apps or some of the ordering apps and start eating home-cooked food. And one thing, again, that I do well is I get every test done every month. So
every month?
Every month. 15th of every month, I get my blood sample taken. I get every test done. At least, I know I need to lose weight, but at least my markers are correct. So usse, at least if there is a sign, and every 6 months I get a full body scan done, etc. So far, things are good. And it's not that expensive also. So if you can do it definitely once a month, and it will keep you in check. And then, most people have that vitamin B or vitamin D deficiency. You start taking those supplements, you sleep better. But yeah, I mean, this is one hack that I do that has worked for me. Again, I learned this from Bhavan.
Gaurav Munjal, very good. Very good.
Thank you.
हमारा लगता है कि लास्ट सेशन मतलब बहुत ब्लॉकबस्टर हुआ है, मज़ा आया है and बहुत कुछ genuinely सीखने को मिला. And I'm hoping that all of us from this pick up as we grow in our journeys to remain who we are, to be authentic, to be real, and to be who we are. Because we change, and the world is also trying us to change. I know that you have remained who you are. You become more of who you are.
Thank you, and thank you for being a mentor and a friend these last 10 years. I know I have called you sometimes early morning, sometimes late night for advice, and you have always given fair advice and fair feedback. So thank you for being a part of the Uncademy journey.
Yeah, thank you. And now it feels like a Karan Johar moment where we both are very happy with each other. But, genuinely, I'm proud of you and what you build with Uncademy. Because last thing I would say is that when you build a venture like this, you also go on to create so many employments. And as a young entrepreneur, you have created so many opportunities for Indians.
Telegram is the hub of piracy. Her edtech course gets ripped in on Telegram, okay? You have Graphy, Anu and I forgot the creator name. Unka course bhi rip ho gaya tha. Creators comes to you and say ki our course is getting ripped. You are the person who's have to take care because Graphy is under you. So A, how do you handle creators when this thing happen? B, I'm pretty sure this conversation would have happened in your team between product, tech and team ki how we solve this problem. Any security layers, any attack company has added, it has still get pirated. Just wanted to know now.
I think the only solution is hire a very strong legal team. I mean, my general counsel is in this room somewhere. I am fortunate to have a very strong legal team. We have fought cases with Telegram in the Delhi, I don't know, it was High Court or Supreme Court. And we have won those cases. Kapil Sibal fought the case for us and we were fighting Telegram. वो कितना भी आप सॉफ्टवेयर में इनोवेशन कर लो, this will not happen. But hire a very strong legal team and have 1 or 2 people who are always monitoring. Now YouTube and Telegram have inbuilt processes because most platforms are centralized. So this is the way to solve that.
So basically पिछले 2 साल में we have worked with few edtech players like physics वाला, we also collaborated with Resonance and Motion. तो पिछले 2 साल में मैं एक चीज़ को ऑब्जर्व कर रहा था कि ऑनलाइन वर्सेस जो ऑफलाइन का डिबेट है, कोविड से जब निकल के लोग आए तो पेरेंट्स के दिमाग में एक ये परसेप्शन क्रिएट हुआ कि ऑनलाइन में वो लर्निंग आउटकम नहीं है जो ऑफलाइन में बच्चे को मिल सकता है. प्रॉब्ली पीयर टू पीयर लर्निंग एक बहुत बड़ा फैक्टर था वहाँ पे. अब जब एआई पिक्चर में आ चुका है तो हाउ यू सी कि ऑनलाइन में, मतलब हमें ऐसा लगता है प्रॉब्ली कि लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस को बहुत पर्सनलाइज और कस्टमाइज किया जा सकता है. तो अनअकैडमी इस डायरेक्शन में अभी क्या एक्टिविटीज़ कर रहा है और आप आने वाले सालों में क्या सोच रहे हैं इसके अराउंड?
So I'm a huge believer in AI and I think sooner or later this will happen. In fact, we are working on some projects internally because today you have the voiceover, you have the avatar, but what you have to get right is education is not the problem with the current LLM models is that if you ask them to explain something like a photosynthesis, अगर बच्चे को कितना detail चाहिए या नहीं चाहिए, right now that effort is still manual. So I think for now you can use great AI tools and technologies to make the experience better. The LLMs are not at that stage where they'll completely teach you. And even on OpenAI, if you write on ChatGPT, if you write that can you teach me probability, it just throws some text. Whereas education is about personalized learning and exactly what the learner should be taught because the stage of learning is different. So I think this is one area that people should definitely build something in. I think this is where the next $10 billion company will be built. We are also trying to build something. Personalized AI tutors where बच्चा कोई video नहीं देख रहा है या कोई live class नहीं देख रहा है, but that I had read when I was in 7th standard, I had read this story in my CBSE curriculum where there was this computer teaching a kid and at every point the computer was asking a question and that AI would know at any point how much have you learned, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. If you're bad at maths, then specific emphasis is paid on that. So I think this is the next 10 billion or even $100 billion company and a lot of smart people are trying to solve this problem.
So I believe that education is something that can be global and you're making a product that's global. So how is your take about Uncademy going global?
See, earlier when I was a young founder, I used to be very ambitious that oh, we can crack global, we can crack US. But one lesson that I have learned, which has also humbled me, is I think you need to first crack India, because that's where you understand the market, you have insights. Let's take the example of Lenskart. I spoke to Piyush, and lately he has been spending all his time in Singapore and launching in Southeast Asia market. But first he cracked India for years and years and years. And only when the India business is profitable, they are going global. So unless you have like a crazy idea where you think that you are better than anything else there in the world, I think, again, it's like the same thing that you all should move to Bangalore. It's the same thing here, that odds of the success of you making something for the India market are big. I was sitting with an investor recently, Sarthak from SoftBank. I had lunch with him. He told me something very insightful. In the last 5 years, India is number 2 when it comes to new public market decacorns. I think India will be a global superpower, built for India, and then go win the world. But India alone will lead to a lot of decacorns, and I'm not talking about unicorns.
Thank you so much, and we wish you, Gaurav Munjal, Decacorn, and
Thank you.
And brilliant conversation.